Hey, it's Lee for On Your Marks Wrestling, and I'm here with an Impact review for May 10th, 2018. We start the show, and it's Josh Matthews in a solemn type of voice telling us that Don Callis was supposed to receive an achievement award from Destiny Wrestling, I believe, for his comeback of the year kind of deal in Toronto, but that he was attacked by Sami Callihan. Then we learn that Callihan blames Callis for tossing in the towel during his I Quit match with Eddie Edwards, which is what led to Edwards beating him up and putting him in a hospital. We see a Callihan promo where he basically kind of repeats that information. He's very angry, and he says he vows to make Callis pay no matter what. Matthews then throws to the video of the attack, and he warns us that it's going to have some graphic stuff in it. So the video is basically Santino Marella. I think it's Marella? Santino, whatever. You guys remember Santino from WWE. He introduces Callis, saying he's been in the business for 30 years, all this stuff. He's still very active in the Toronto wrestling scene, I believe Santino is. Callis apparently is making a speech. He talks about how he has this role at Impact and that the brand has improved so much. And he's proud of that. Callihan interrupts. He's in the ring. He basically tells Callis that he thinks Callis is telling some bullshit. And then Callihan attacks Callis. It's lots of Callis here. Callis is left bloodied, so I guess he bladed a little bit. And then we have a little bit more Sami Callihan promo where he just kind of says the same thing, just that he's after Callis and all that stuff. We go back to kind of the studio where Matthews says that the executives of Impact are deliberating on the fate of Callihan, and they keep showing you this door for the executive's office. It's going to make a lot of appearances throughout the night. We then go to an Eli Drake promo. It's a promo / video package. He recounts his successes since Feast or Fired, where he basically won a tag team championship shot, and then he also took the singles championship shot from Moose, and then he won the tag team championship. So he's had a kind of good little run, and then he kind of runs down Pentagon a little bit, and he basically calls him all sorts of variants of a dummy. And then we go to the intro music at this point, and I looked at this and I said, in 2 minutes, Impact, a show that is often laughed at, told more story than WWE has since WrestleMania, which was, something like 6 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago. I don't know exactly how long WrestleMania was, but they've had tons of time to tell a story, and virtually nothing has changed on WWE. And in like 2 minutes, Impact has set up at least 2 stories moving forward. I'm so impressed with Impact, and I'm so disappointed with WWE. I don't know which one is more kind of impactful, for lack of a better word. But yeah. Then we get a match. It's Andrew Everett and DJ Z. They call themselves Z and E. I guess I should have said those names backwards. Or in reverse order, I should say. And they're against LAX. There's a nice fast opening with a Deadman Splash by Ortiz. The opening was mostly Santana and DJ Z. Then Everett and Ortiz have a nice little run. Everett does this cool kind of flip up thing where he does a flip, but he doesn't land perfectly vertical. He lands it kind of in a limbo position and then kind of slowly gets back up. And I like that. LAX land a tandem wheelbarrow cutter thing. Looked really cool. They get a near fall out of it. Matthews is doing solo commentary on this whole show, I should mention, because Callis is injured from his attack and all that stuff. At one point, Matthews sells kind of thinking that the meeting is over. He's constantly listening in to hear if this meeting is over or if it's still deliberating. So I thought it was kind of interesting that he's like, wait, yeah, oh, never mind. He kind of did one of those things. He did it well. DJ Z sends LAX into each other at one point, and he basically hits a neck breaker on one of them, whereas the other one delivers a DDT on the other. It's kind of a classic two-man move. It's It's one of these like suspend disbelief type of wrestling moves. Some wrestling moves look like they hurt or look like they're natural. This is definitely not that, but it's fun. Everett does a backflip double kick, so it's basically like Finn Balor's kick, except he does it to two people at the same time. There are more big moves by both teams. I couldn't write them all. My hand was starting to hurt. Then Everett hits a delayed moonsault to the outside. That's a beautiful move. Last time he did like a pike position. This time he just kind of jumped straight up in the air rather than kind of having more horizontal movement. Ortiz hits a cannonball to the outside through the second rope. Thought that was pretty cool that he manages to even get through the second rope and then do that move, because he's not the smallest guy. And then there's a excuse me, a street sweeper attempt by LAX, but DJZ kind of rolls through and manages to get the win that way. It's kind of interesting. LAX have been losing quite a bit since they lost Conan, so we'll see what happens with that. Then we have a kind of backstage thing with Joseph Park and Grado. They're training. Park presses Grado about his girlfriend, and Grado's just kind of saying nonchalant things about her. But then she shows up, and her name is Katarina, and she's quite the beauty. Park doesn't actually believe that she's Grado's girlfriend at first. She says that it's what's inside that matters. This promo made it seem like she's not very attracted to Grado, and you're going to hear some stuff later on that kind of goes against that, but whatever. It was interesting. Then we have a little promo with Austin Aries where he says that, and we don't know who he's talking to. He's kind of talking to the camera, but not the camera. It's weird. He says that he meant it when he told Eli Drake good luck, because that's who he's going to beat for the championship or something along those lines. It's kind of a nothing promo. And then we get a match between Raju, and Grado. And Grado's accompanied by Katarina, and now they're showing a lot of kind of chemistry. It's quite a departure from the Park interaction. They do this weird Titanic thing in the corner on the second rope. And then this match is mostly Raju doing the offense. So there's a bit of a comedy spot with Rohit unable to lift Grado at one point. There's a running knee in the corner by Raju. There's a high knee and a swinging neck breaker by Raju for a near fall. Every time Grado tried to kind of show off, Raju would actually get the better of him. Eventually, though, Grado lands a cannonball in the corner and gets the win. And then he celebrates with his girlfriend. Backstage, Joseph Park is knocked out, and he has a red X card like a lot of people have had lately. We still don't really know who's doing this stuff, but it's kind of interesting. Then we have a Tessa Blanchard video package. She basically talks about her lineage. Then she talks about all of her accomplishments in wrestling, of which there are many, because she's quite good. And at the end, she basically reveals her new catchphrase, which is that she is undeniable. They had a nice little graphic for it. That's fine. Whatever. Tessa Blanchard is a good talent. Not the best on the mic, but she's not horrible. So that's okay. We have Mackenzie Mitchell interviewing Eli Drake and Scott Steiner. Eli says he's number one, that he's the new... excuse me. He's the contender for the new his new championship belt. Steiner says that he recognizes greatness, that he's great, so he's able to recognize greatness, and he kind of commends Drake. And he says that he'll be there for him. Drake says that he needs to do this alone, so he basically asks Steiner not to come out. Steiner basically takes offense to this. At one point, he infers that he might have slept with Mackenzie last night. It was very strange. Mackenzie, thankfully, looks really disgusted by the suggestion. Well, I don't know why I say thankfully. She can do whatever she wants. And then Eli reiterates that he really needs to do this alone. Then we have a Lucha Rules match between Drago, Aerostar, Ishimori, and Phantasma. Ishimori, who only last week was revealed as Bone Soldier on New Japan Pro Wrestling, so there's some recording. When this was recorded is, well, I guess I could look into it, but I'm too lazy to do so. So yeah, this match is exactly what you'd expect. It's basically a Next Division match. I believe this is for a Next Division title shot. It's to be the new number one contender. I made only a few notes because it was just too much. There's a springboard moonsault to the outside by Ishimori on Phantasma. Aerostar jumps a bit too high for a crossbody on the outside, so he does it off the second rope and he jumps almost straight up in the air, but he kind of lands on his face, which didn't look too nice. There's a bunch of big moves, like a bunch of near finishers, not necessarily their finishers, but their second biggest moves, with a last minute pin breakup by an opponent. Excuse me. Oh, it's a little late. Phantasma hits the Thrill of the Kill on Aerostar, and he becomes the number one contender for the X Division title versus Matt Sydal. Good match. I would say that they're having a lot of these, and some moves get lost. I would have loved to have seen the Bombita. I think that's the best move right now for high flyers. It's done by Aerostar. It's basically just a cannonball into a bunch of people, but it just looks cool. Did not see it this time around. Eddie Edwards, we see him at the door for the office that we've been seeing throughout the show, and he basically demands that the executives at Impact let Callahan stay on the roster because he wants to fight him again. They say, fine, we'll do this for you, but you can't have the match here. So it's basically suggesting that the match is going to be elsewhere. Then we have a match from earlier this week, it says. Oh, excuse me, I have to do it again. Oh, God. It's Mooses versus Congo Kong. This is from House of Hardcore out of Fort Wayne, Indiana this time around. Kong at one point sends Moose into the guardrail. There's a old school bear hug by Kong to affect the back. Sometimes I don't mind seeing kind of lame older moves. There's a missed cannonball in the corner by Kong. Moose mounts a comeback with a corner avalanche. Jacobs jumps in, hits Moose with a chair, gets a DQ. Moose clears the ring with a clothesline. It was fine. You might hear a beep soon. That's just my laundry being ready. I've set a timer. KM and Fallah Bahh are backstage. KM is training Bahh while eating ice cream, amongst other things. There's corny 80s music for like a montage, and Bahh ends up passing out. So it was just a little comedy thing. It's fine. Then we have Brian Cage versus Takahashi Sugiura out of Pro Wrestling Noah in Japan. This is joined in progress, so I guess we missed part of it. It starts with a vertical suplex with some squats by Cage. He then does a standing moonsault. He then does a vertical suplex while standing on the second rope, bringing Sugiura in from the apron. It looks really cool. At one point, Sugiura Germans Cage into the turnbuckle, kind of turns the match a little bit. There's a second rope Frankensteiner by Sugiura. Cage hits a weird spinning flapjack for a near fall. It looked like I was kind of convinced that was going to be a finish. He hits a tornado. He misses a tornado claw and gets a bridging German from Sugiura for a near fall. Then there's a running knee by Sugiura for a near fall. Eventually, though, Cage hits a tornado claw, tries to get the pin, doesn't get it, but then he hits a drill claw and gets the win that way. We have a video of Ali sitting in front of a mirror. She's looking in the mirror while having flashbacks of the Su Yung / Bridesmaids beatdown and stealing of Rosemary. She finds a creepy doll. Pinned to the doll is a little kind of piece of parchment or something. And Ali kind of twitches in a creepy way, and that kind of ends there. We don't know if she's possessed or something like that. I don't know what's going on. And then we get the last match of the night. It's Eli Drake versus Pentagon Jr. Pentagon tries to snap Eli's arm similarly to what he did to Aries. It doesn't happen, though. Drake drops Pentagon on the top rope. Kind of regains his advantage that way. We learn from Matthews that Eddie Edwards and Sami Callihan has been signed as a street fight for, I believe it's a street fight, at House of Hardcore. Cool. That's going to be next week. There's a really weird cut on what must have been a botched pop-up power slam by Drake. It's fine, whatever. If you're recording it, you have the right to do that if you're not going live. Drake does a springboard into a super kick for a near fall for Pentagon. Drake also runs to the top rope for a superplex on Pentagon. I always love it when that happens. At one point, Pentagon rolls through a gravy train just to avoid it. Drake misses a springboard moonsault, and Pentagon lands a Pentagon driver for the win. Decent match. This whole episode was pretty good. The matches outside of, well, actually weren't too bad anyways. The in-cage stuff was good. The out of the cage, or not in-cage, in-ring stuff was good. The out-of-the-ring stuff was even better. I'm going to go ahead and give this a pretty good high score. I think this is an 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed this episode. Impact's been doing well. Congratulations to them. And I'll have another review next week. Thanks for watching.